What's going on, everyone? So we are hours away from the Lakers officially entering free agency, and we got a couple updates in the wake of Dorian Finney Smith, as well as Day'ron Sharpe, a potential target for the Los Angeles Lakers. So getting into Day'ron Sharpe real quick, because that's the quick one, is Day'ron Sharpe signed a 2-year deal with the Brooklyn Nets. So Brooklyn is keeping him, for multiple years. It's unfortunate. He's a guy that I really wanted to see the Lakers acquire, particularly in a backup role. Obviously, Ayton appears to be the main target. Lakers reports have already came out. Lakers are expected to go after him and try to lure him on to the Lakers. He is the best option available you could argue even a trade. If you were to trade for one of the guys that is rumored to be available, Ayton might be the best upside player. A lot of risk with Ayton. Talked about it, did full video on it. But it would have been nice to bring in a guy like a Day'ron Sharpe to have him just be that kind of big bruiser type of center on the inside in a backup role, right? He's a guy that I looked at as he could be a quality backup that then eventually transitions maybe into a starting role. If not, then just be your primary backup. Excellent rebounder. Right, good size, strength. He's not a true 7-footer, but he's just 265. And again, kind of that bull in a china shop type of center that Lakers would have really loved. Now I imagine Lakers kind of pivot to like a Clint Capella in that role, maybe a Brook Lopez in that role, and then try to get DeAndre Ayton as the main starter. That would be fine. I'm okay with that. As long as they get Ayton, I think everything is okay. But speaking of that, Dorian Finney Smith, right? Love to keep Dorian Finney Smith. He was excellent for the Lakers last year. Just that Swiss Army knife type of player that can defend all positions, right? Can be a little streaky shooting at times, but he's a guy that, he was our best plus-minus guy every game for a reason. And it's because of the versatility and the impact that he has on the basketball court, right? He's just one of those scrappers, guy that can get after it. Just a good quality vet. But it is believed that he is going to make his way to the Houston Rockets, that Houston is presenting a 4-year deal to potentially go and land Dorian Finney Smith and lure him away from the Lakers. Now, obviously, look, he's getting in that age range where it's like, is a 4-year deal smart for the Lakers, right? If you were to, ideally, if he were to opt in and then you sign him to another 2-year deal or something like that, it's like, okay, cool. But to have him get to where he's, 36, 37 and you're paying him $15+ million a year, little kind of question marks. How does he kind of age? Is he able to age gracefully? Right now, he is still in kind of that heart of the prime era where he is able to impact the game to the level in which the Lakers could really use. Also, if you lose Dorian Finney Smith, you now may have a need at the wing position. However, Lakers have done a good job of getting these young, athletic, versatile wings. I imagine the Lakers are going to target some in free agency. Maybe you can even work out a trade in order to get something done. Ideally, I'd like to see the Lakers not lose him for nothing. Right? Ideally, I'd like to see the Lakers pull off that Houston sign-in trade where Lakers would get back Cam Whitmore and Jock Landale. Right? That is still very much on the table, which, if they're going to offer him a 4-year deal, if it's in that $15 million range, let's say he's willing to take a bit of a discount because of that, they do have their full mid-level exception that they can use. But if you're the Rockets and you're kind of pushing your chips in, it would make more sense to get off of Cam Whitmore, Jock Landale, do the Dorian Finney-Smith trade. Now you have Dorian Finney-Smith, and then you could still use that full mid-level exception to go and get another player or piece, right? So even from a Rockets standpoint, it would make more sense for them to kind of go that route where everybody wins, right? Dorian Finney-Smith, he gets his contract. Lakers get, a young player in Cam Whitmore, right, in the deal. Jock Landale, I think, you can make an argument he's the most crucial piece in that regard. And I did a full video on that, but I'll touch on that here more in a second, just summarize. But you get a guy in Cam Whitmore, you get a guy in Jock Landale. Jock Landale is on a 2-year non-guaranteed. Well, you had 4 years, 2 of the years were guaranteed. These back 2 years are non-guaranteed. And then you get that young guy and kind of fits what the Lakers are trying to do right now. Get young, athletic, versatile athletes. Also, the Lakers would still have their full mid-level exception to where then they can go and sign a DeAndre Ayton, right? So you essentially would turn Dorian Finney Smith into Cam Whitmore and DeAndre Ayton. And then you could take Jock Landale and you could either waive him and Shake Milton and kind of clear 11 million, especially if you need to stay under the apron or anything, if you use your full mid-level exception, or potentially flip those guys into a deal, right? Because you'd have 11 million in non-guaranteed. Can you take those two plus, like a Dalton Connect or, Rui Hachimura or a Maxi Kleba or something, right? Any of your other players, and then trade them to a team to maybe get a wing, another kind of more veteran wing or a young wing to kind of help solve that position, or maybe kind of like that, like that 6'5", 6'6" versatile guard, right? A guy that can defend at the 2, but also the 3, defend essentially 1 through 3, something like that. Especially if you get a Cam Whitmore and some of these other young wings that you can bring in. You also have other free agency targets that could make some sense for the Lakers. So, perfect world, that's how it breaks down. Is that the Lakers go make the trade, sign and trade, get back Cam Whitmore, get back Jock Lindell. Now Lakers are in great shape. They're happy. They got a Cam Whitmore who I think has like true star potential. Will he ever reach that? I don't know. We'll see. I don't even know why Houston wants to trade him. I mean, I get it. They have like 15 guys that play his position. And it's like, at some point you're going to have to consolidate some of these guys. So for them, it makes sense to kind of consolidate. Basically, you're swapping Cam Whitmore because Jock Lindell, they're probably just going to get off of anyway. But you basically turn Cam Whitmore into a Dorian Finney Smith. Also, if the Rockets do that trade, this is something that's important to add. If the Rockets do that trade, they can take on up to $15 million in return. So they could actually give Dorian Finney Smith 4 years, $60 million, right? Where they'd have to sign him with the full mid-level exception. So don't be shocked if that ends up being what happens, where the Lakers end up getting Cam Whitmore, Jock Lindell, and then they send out Dorian Finney Smith, and then the Lakers figure out what to do with Jock Lindell. They use their full mid-level exception to go get a DeAndre Ayton. They could potentially free up their biannual exception. Maybe they use that to get a Clint Capella, and then you're filling out, free agent, vet minimum guys, maybe take a flyer on a couple guys, and then also take, like I said, Rui and Jock Lindell and Shake Milton and all these other guys with, your assets and stuff, and go make a trade or go make a move, whether it's this offseason or closer to the trade deadline, right? I mean, look at it like this. If the Lakers were, let's say this offseason, got Cam Whitmore in place of a Dorian Finney Smith. So they get Cam Whitmore, right? Give him a more expanded role. Let's see what he can do. But Cam Whitmore, get DeAndre Ayton, and you sign Clint Capella, right? Or Luke Cornett or whomever. But I personally would like Clint Capella personally. But let's say you get a backup center, like a clear-cut backup center. You get your starting center in DeAndre Ayton, and then you get a young, athletic, versatile forward. And then go sign 1 or 2 guys in free agency. It's like now the Lakers have put together the proper roster. You got multiple bigs. You got a young wing. Maybe you can go get another guy or 2, take a flyer on. Maybe get some veteran guys like Gary Harris or something like that just for the bench. And now you're in that position to where, okay, let's kind of see what becomes available, especially if prices are still high, right? Like, does Miami eventually cave on Andrew Wiggins? And they're like, all right, let's just get off of his money. Let's do a Rui and Gabe Vincent swap. Right? And now you just get Andrew Wiggins. Now you have Andrew Wiggins as your starting 3. And now you have Luka, Austin Reeves, Andrew Wiggins, LeBron James, and DeAndre Ayton as your starting 5. Can you get like a DeAnthony Melton, right? Chris Paul is also potentially another option, but ideally, I'd like to get like a DeAnthony Melton. Can you get like a Melton, or like can you convince a Bruce Brown, depending on what his market is, right? In a perfect world, you get like a Bruce Brown, have like a Cam Whitmore, Clint Capella, right? And then maybe Dalton Connect is still on the roster, right? Just have a couple guys that you can go and bring in. Gary Harris maybe, right, that can slot in. That kind of would be the ideal scenario and situation right now. If the Lakers lose Dorian Finney-Smith for nothing, it sucks, right? Because one, you gave up 3 seconds, which most people look at it as 3 seconds, but that's assets you could have used to go get somebody else. And on top of that, second-round picks are just more valuable now than they were. I mean, you saw it in this last draft, the price that some of these second-round picks were going for, right? Because especially the higher-end second-round picks, because you're the new rules, the new CBA and all that stuff makes second round picks much more valuable. You don't have to get into your mid-level exception and all that stuff. So now you kind of, it's just like another asset and player that you can add to a roster if you're thin and stuff. Like you look at the Phoenix Suns, right? They've essentially revamped their roster on draft picks and second round picks and whatnot. So, it would suck to lose him for nothing. However, right, if losing him gets you DeAndre Ayton, and then like a Bruce Brown, and then you're able to go get a Clint Capella or a Brook Lopez or something like that, and then you go trade for, just use Andrew Wiggins again as an example, Andrew Wiggins, like it's like that all couldn't have happened unless Dorian Finney Smith walked, right? Like that's the thing we gotta keep in mind. Like more likely than not, you're not losing Dorian Finney Smith for nothing, right? You're losing him to free up your full mid-level exception as well as your biannual exception, which could get you another $5 million guy. So you could go get Ayton, go get, a Bruce Brown or Clint Capella or something like that, and then go sign one of these other, maybe you're doing a Malcolm Brogdon or something like that on a vet minimum, right? And now it's not, oh, we lost Dorian Finney-Smith for nothing. It's we lost Dorian Finney-Smith, but it freed up the ability to get these 4 players. It just gives the Lakers more financial flexibility. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, pass question. You let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out as we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.